How's it going, everyone? Eric here again. Today is the 4th of January 2021, and this is the trade performance video for December 2020. As I probably mentioned in past videos, this spreadsheet should be pretty self-explanatory, but I will walk you through it real quick here. I guess there's two notes to make that I can think of right now. First of all, these 3 trades in yellow up here were from previous trades before I started my trade alerts on YouTube. So they were using the same system that I'm using now, except there was no trade alerts for these because they opened before I started making videos. So really you could delete those out. You know, this is 14 trades for the month. You take those 3 away, it's only 11 trades for the month. And then one more note is that I have 2 trades that are rolled out with AMAT and Disney. If you were forced to close those today, it'd be a loser of like $2,000, but there's no reason to force you to close them right now as they are rolled out. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at all this. There's 2 trades that have been rolled out, and then also, I guess the third thing is all of these trades are trades that were closed in the month of December. I opened a bunch of trades in this month, but those will most likely close in January, or some might close in February, right? And as you can see here, some of these trades are pretty old. This trade got rolled out and I was in the trade for 61 days. And really that's how all 3 of these yellow trades are. They're old trades that got rolled out. They all went against me. You know, I think this XLE, I think I was down maybe $200 or $300 at one point. UAL, I was down like 500. And then RCL, I was down like 4 or maybe 500. The reason I include them is I just want to show you the power of rolling the trades. So instead of taking, let's do easy math, that's like maybe $1,000, those 3 trades combined. Instead of taking a $1,000 loss, I rolled out all 3 of those trades, and then the total combined here, I came away with $31 profit instead of a $1,000 loss, right? So yes, technically a small winner, but how I look at it is that even in this 2 months, you know, 61 days, 58 days, and this was only 37 days. So this one is a great example. You know, 37 days, that's getting kind of long for a strangle, for sure. But in reality, this was 2 trades because I had to roll it. So within just over a month, I essentially did 2 trades here. And you could say I lost $500 and then eventually I gained back $495. And this is my first losing trade since August of 2020 using this system. Now I'll fully admit that's a great winning streak and that's not always going to happen. But that just goes to show you the power of this system. You can roll out almost all of your trades to minimize your loss and usually gain back a small profit. And the crazy thing is, these 2 trades here, I was so unlucky. I closed these both out, and then the very next day, both of these trades, if I had waited one more day, I literally would have made $100 on each trade. So I came away here with positive $10, but had I not been so unlucky, once I gained back, you know, my 300, 500 bucks, I was like, oh, sweet, you know, that's a good recovery. Well, had I waited one more day, I would have gained $100 in profit on each one of those trades. So I would have been up 200 bucks instead of 10 bucks. But whatever, you can't really count on that for these. You're just trying to get your money back basically and break even. Anything beyond that is just gravy. So I try not to look back at that stuff, but sometimes it's too hard to resist. Either way, you know, worst case scenario, I lost $5 on the one trade, and then these other ones I gained $15 and $21. So yeah, all that to say, rolling out trades does make sense, at least in my opinion. You know, you get stuck in these trades sometimes for 2 months. However, if I take a $500 loss on a trade, think about how many new trades I would have to open to gain back that $500. I mean, right here's my average winner is 90 cents or $90. Let's round up for easy math. If that's $1 or $100 profit per contract on each trade, and I eat a $500 loss, well, I'm going to have to open up 5 new trades just to gain back, hopefully, the $500 that I potentially would have lost here, right? And that would take like at least a month probably, right? Well, by rolling the same trade out, I mean, this one took 2 months. So I was in it for a month and I lost, and then I rolled it out for another month and I technically won, right? So I just stayed in the same trade, and yeah, it tied up my capital, but you could say that I gained back $300 on this one trade, which is way above my $1 average, right? So that's how I look at it. When I roll a trade, I've lost, $300, $500, $700, whatever. But then the thing is, when you roll those trades, you usually gain back your losses much faster than if you would open new positions in new tickers, right? All right, I think I've covered that. So let's do the rundown real quick. Really, the summary box here in blue at the bottom is what we're looking at. So I mentioned before, there was 14 trades here in this month that I closed in December. The average return on that was 90 cents per contract, or $90. That gave me a total profit of $1,255. My average percent of max profit is 44%, not $44. Forgot to format that one. There we go, I quickly reformatted it. 43.8% was the average percent of max profit that I got on a trade. My average return on capital was 7.9% per trade. And then my average return on capital per day was 0.5%. And then this column I kind of just throw in for fun, but if I could repeat all of these trades for 30 days in a row and say I had the same outcome, I would actually get a 14.9% return on capital in 30 days. So I don't know how useful that is even to myself, but I just throw it on there as kind of another data point to look at and kind of compare. And then the average trading duration was about 25.5 days, give or take. I ended up having 7 strangles, 2 calls, 5 puts. My total required buying power at open when I started these trades was $24,441. My total return on capital is pretty low this month at just 5.1%. However, that makes sense when you look at this. I traded a lot more high dollar tickers. I mean, these are really high at 45 and 4,300. Even 2,000 is pretty high. So in the past, my monthly return can be as high as like 12 or 13%. But I'm doing a lot more of trades like this where I only need 280 buying power or 800 buying power or 500, 300, If you do more of those trades or kind of stick strictly to those kinds of trades, your return on capital will be much higher. I'm not sure your dollar amount return will change terribly much, but your return on capital will definitely be much higher. It'll be 10%, 12%, maybe even better. So it just depends. If you have a smaller bankroll, you're definitely going to be going with these smaller buying power trades. If you have a bigger bankroll or a medium-sized one like I do, you can dabble in these bigger trades. The reason I go in these bigger buying power is because they're usually faster, right? I mean, this only took 7 days. That took 9 days. Took a little bit longer at 15. So those are relatively quick movers. And, and each one of those gets me like $1.50 or $2, which would be $150 or $200 profit per contract. So that's why I personally dabble in those a little bit. They just move a little bit faster, and they also have a higher percentage of profit usually. I think these trades were all above 90% pop when I opened those trades. So yes, they do require a large amount of buying power, but your pop is higher. And in general, they move faster as long as you get in at a decent spot. You can't just blindly buy in, obviously. But I guess the flip side of that is if you look at this trade here, this was just short of 14 days. So pretty similar to this one, right? This took $2,000, where this trade only took $280. And it's the same, 2 weeks. Each trade took 2 weeks. But my return on capital for this one was 28.9%, which is amazing. And then this one was only 7.7%, so much lower. However, when you look at the dollar amounts, the 7.7% netted me $153, where the 28.9% return on capital only netted me $81. So this return on capital is basically 4 times this one. However, I'm actually bringing home less profit per contract and per trade. So you just got to weigh the options, no pun intended. And it's just a different strategy, right? You're either going with a higher buying power and most likely a higher pop and most likely a faster working trade versus a lower buying power, which gives you a slightly lower pop usually, and which usually works slightly slower. So that's why I typically dip my toes in a little bit of everything. I go for some of the higher buying power, and then I go for some of the medium, and then I go for some of the low. So this month it looks like I got a little bit on the high side, especially this trade I got rolled out, you know. So that took up a lot more buying power when I rolled it out. But ultimately, you know, that gained me back my huge loss, and I actually made $21 on the trade. So that was worth it in my book. But anyways, all that to say, this month ended up using a lot more higher dollar trades than I have in the past for various reasons. I guess maybe for the sake of this channel, I might try to stick to lower buying power alerts just to show you that you can make decent money trading low buying power stocks, because that's what I've done in the past and it's worked great. I've just started to get a little more outside of that low buying power to more of medium and high buying power. It's all personal preference. There's lots of different ways you can do this, and I kind of dabble a little bit in everything. I guess the moral story of all this stuff is that I made $1,255, and that equaled 5.1% return on capital. You know, 5.1%, that's not great for a whole month, but definitely $1,200 per month. That's pretty solid. I mean, that's like a part-time job for someone, right? Maybe even a full-time job if you're working minimum wage. So for me personally, I do this all in my spare time, even all these videos and stuff. You know, it's like, this is kind of like a little side thing that I do. I'm technically a stay-at-home parent. I help my kids with homeschool and stuff because of COVID right now. But I just technically made our family $1,255 this month that I normally wouldn't have made, right? I mean, that's why in my opinion, this is like free money. It's so easy. It doesn't take long to put together, and the system just works. I've had some losing trades for sure doing this system, but I've never had a losing month. I guess one more quick thing here. If we eliminate those 3 yellow trades that were not part of the trade alerts, if you were just following along with my trade alerts that I put on YouTube, it doesn't change much really. I guess it changes the total return on capital, but that ends up with 11 trades, $1,224. You only needed 19,000 roughly, and then that bumps you up to 6.4% return on capital instead of 5.1%. That's just specifically the 11 trades that I put on YouTube. All of these you can go back and look up the videos here on my YouTube channel and see when and where and why I opened those. And had you followed along, you would have made $1,224 and 6.4%. Again, the 6.4% is kind of low. My better months is more like 10 to 12%, but it's hard to complain about $1,224 when I'm just kind of doing this in my spare time. All right, I think that covers everything. Let me know if you have any questions as usual. In the meantime, trade often, trade small, and I'll catch you in the next video.